it's Betsy, and today we have a fun video. We're going to be testing out the new Perception palette, and this is a collaboration between Midas Cosmetics and the Basic Bee. Now, I'm not super familiar with the Basic Bee, but I saw this and I was like, I need you in my life. So this is what the outside unicarton looks like. It's like that soft touch matte black, and then the text is almost blurry, but it has the galaxy print in it. And the photos that they actually used are actually real photos from NASA in the United States. Now, this is cruelty-free and has a 24-month shelf life. It has a net weight of 1.4 ounces, and it is made in the People's Republic of China. So this is what the outside of the actual palette looks like. And you can see, there we go, whenever you change the angle, because there we go. You see how it's got, the Perception is in shiny and the rest of it's in matte. So I really like how that is done. Now there is a slip over the shades, and then when you open her up, there are 20 shades. So this is a nice bright color story, and I am excited. So we'll start off by swatching, and then we will do some looks. So the first shade is Quasar, which is a nice, beautiful tangerine orange. Then we have Evolve, which is like a neon watermelon coral kind of color. Isn't that pretty? Then we have Motive, and this is supposed to have a different formula for their shimmers, and that feels really nice. That's the shade Motive. So Motive to me is like a spring green with a little bit of blue in it. Very, very pretty. Then we have the shade Reality, which is just a matte white. Now this shade, this palette does have more mattes than shimmers, which, you know, I prefer shimmers, but I'm okay with this. Then we have the shade Inspire, which is a royal blue. Then we have Infinite, which is more of like a burgundy shade. Oh, I missed a shade, y'all. On the top row, the last one is Implode, which is a deeper kind of eggplant color. That's Implode. I wanted to keep it near the color family because, you know, sometimes I make mistakes. I don't know if I told you how much this palette retails for. It's $39. Then we have the shade Open Mind, which is a beautiful lime green. Perplex, which is like a Tiffany blue. Or no, that's actually brighter. That's pretty. And Restless, which is the last shade on the second row, which Restless is like a true forest green, but it is a little grungier too. So it's not really, I guess, a true one then, is it? So then we have the shade Life, which is a true matte yellow. Natural, which is like a cocoa brown. Quantum. So Quantum is actually misspelled. I think it's supposed to be Quantum. So if you look, that is like that peach to pink duochrome. Then we have the shade Psyche, which, oh, look at that shade. I love those kind of colors. So there's Psyche. Wipe my fingers off. Okay, then we have the shade Existence, which is just like a nude color. You can barely see it on my skin right here. And that's the last shade from the third row. It's almost my skin color. Then on the last row, we have the shade Entity, which is a shimmering lavender. Fusion, which is a beautiful hot pink. Deep Space. Deep Space is like, see, it's like that purple to orange. It's really pretty. Dark Matter is a black. And then last but certainly not least is the shade Curious, which is not a lavender, but it's I'm trying to think of what kind of color that purple would be. It's like a heathery kind of purple. Like a wisteria, I think is what I'm thinking of. So that's all 20 shades. They go all the way up and down my arms. Now, as you can see, the mattes don't swatch the best, but to me, swatches don't tell the whole story. It depends on how they actually go on the eyes. I say this all the time because I have palettes that swatch beautifully and then perform terribly. And I have palettes that perform or swatch terribly and perform beautifully. So, I'm trying to think of the colors that I want to use. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start off with, this is the question. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start off with the shade Open Mind. So as you can see, it picks up really nice on the brush. This is a Sigma E33, which is a detailed blending brush. And we're gonna start that off in the front portion of our eye. There we go. I love a good lime green. And this palette does really scream summer to me. And I love, love, love the artwork behind it. And I see where the color story comes from, because if you look at the artwork, you know, the NASA picture of the galaxy, I'm not sure if it's actually a galaxy or a nebula. I don't know enough about that, but it's pretty. Oh, look how pretty that looks on the eyes. Okay, so we like that. So what else am I gonna do? Okay, so I'm gonna take, this is a Refer 01. I'm gonna go into the shade Perplex, which is that like bright, almost cerulean, not really cerulean, it's too bright. More of like a robin's egg blue. I always try to think of what's the best way to describe it. And I always think back to the colors in a Crayola box. I don't know how y'all were about crayons, but like, I feel like crayons kind of match my personality when it comes to eyeshadows. Crayons, color pencils, markers, that type of thing. I always wanted the biggest pack that I could get because I want the most options available. That's really pretty. So, we like that. And then I think I'm gonna finish, you know what? No, I'm gonna keep adding the blue. I'm gonna finish off the top area with the blue because I'm gonna do 3 looks with this palette. I think that'll be fun. I think that this will lend itself to doing 3 looks really well. So let's take and go back in with that Sigma brush into the lime green and make sure those edges are blended together. Okay. Liking how that looks. Okay. I'm going to take a clean brush. This is a Kaleidos S1. And I'm just going to go over the edges to make sure it's all blended together. But I am going to take that same brush and I'm going to go into Reality, which is the matte white, and use that on the edge just to give it something to blend into that still has some brightness. So there we go. So I love a good blue-green look. I could have easily reversed the way that I did these colors and did the blue towards the front. I just didn't think about it. Okay. Grab that S1 again, or no, the E33, and go and apply that towards the front of the eye. And that's part of it, is I like to, I start off low and slow and add more. I feel like it's easier to add more color than it is to take it away. I know a lot of people feel that way. So blend out the edge. Blend out the edge. There we go. Okay, so I need something, I want to deepen up this outer crease. So I'm gonna grab this. This is one of the Melt Beetlejuice brushes. There is no number on here. But I'm going to go into Inspire, which is that like more royal blue. And I'm going to add that, there we go, to add some depth. That's pretty. And I'm just keeping that in the area where I added the blue. Okay. Blend out the edges. Okay. Now let's apply some glitter glue. And I'm trying to decide on what I want to put on the lid, because I feel like some of these are more of like topper shades, at least the shade like Psyche. So do I want to put a matte? This is a Nabla N103, which is just like a flat brush. These are great, as I've said 100 times before, for packing out your glitter glue and then giving it a base to be applied to. So I think I'm going to go into the shade, what do I want to do? Okay, I think I'm going to go into the shade Motive, which is that first like spring green kind of white shade, and we're going to try that on the lid and see how that works. I think that that will work out pretty. It's going to be super bright compared to some of the looks that I do. Okay. So I'm keeping and applying, because as you can see, there are some chunky spots, but you know, sometimes that happens with glitter glue. So it's kind of just, instead of just patting, I'm taking now and just kind of smoothing over. And part of it is, you know, apply a little bit more, because I didn't apply anything underneath the glitter glue, so I kind of need to make sure that this is getting maximum opacity. So you can't see my lid through it. That looks pretty though. And it's kind of like one of those colors that looks green, looks blue. It kind of mixes a lot of different colors. I don't know if this is my favorite look I've ever done. It's definitely not, but I think it looks pretty. And that's part of it, is, you know, we're testing eyeshadows, and I am not, like, I love playing with color, and I will tell you everything that I am doing, but, you know, I am an eyeshadow enthusiast. I am not a makeup artist by any means. I just love to play with makeup. I can normally make it look pretty good on myself, but you know, doesn't mean that's how it's gonna look on everybody else. But I do love, see how pretty that is? So I'm just trying to make sure the edges are smooth, because as you can see, like you can watch as I'm putting this on, my eyelids are not smooth. So they're wrinkles and it likes to move. So it takes a little bit more work to make these kind of work, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. I'm gonna go off camera, do the rest of my face, and then we'll come back and do the lower lash line. So I'm back and I have the rest of my face on. I used the Butter Bronzer in Deep Bronze. I used the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Divine Blushes in Nude Venus. The highlight I used today, I haven't used this one in forever, and that is the Becca Prosecco Pop. And on my lips, I have the Gucci, this is like their lip balm in Lynette Stone. So as you can see, it's a really pretty nude color. And in my waterline, I used Big Splash by ColourPop. So I'm gonna take that same Rephr brush and use Perplex underneath my eye. Actually, I need something smaller. to apply this. So this is the Moonstone, this is the Moon Dust brush from Urban Decay. Okay, that works better. And I'm just going to apply Perplex under the eye. That's a pretty color though. I love that color. But I wanted to kind of see what it looked like on my skin tone too without being a lighter under base, because, you know, on the top of my eyes, I had a lighter base. Now I'm gonna take that Rephr brush and just smooth everything out, you know, because we Uncle Buster our eyes. It works best. I'm gonna take that same melt brush, blush, not brush, with that shade Inspire, which is that royally blue. And I'm just applying that, as you can see, right on the outsides. Nothing much further, just right on the outside to give it a little bit of depth. I felt like that was kind of lacking underneath the eyes. That tends to work out a lot for me, where I just, you know, I do better when there's a little bit of darkness, at least in my eyes. So that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to take the shade Motive, again, which is the same shade I used all over my lid. Well, actually, you know what we're gonna do first? I'm gonna go into the shade Reality, which is that matte white. And I'm gonna apply that down first in the inner corner. And this will work for you too. So one of the things, the reason why I'm doing this is because depending on what is underneath this shade Motive, it will look different on different people. Like depending on what color eyeshadow's underneath, whatever, you know. So I'm just taking and applying that matte white. Now I'm going into the shade Motive. I am gonna spray it so it doesn't fall everywhere, because it is a little bit more of a crumbly shadow, and I'm going to apply that right over where I applied that matte white. Okay. That's pretty. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't look the same whenever you apply it and like this as it did on the lid. Okay, so this is the completed first look. What do you think? I'm back to do another look with the Perception palette. So I figured I'd tell you what I have on my face because I have my makeup on. I use the Anastasia Rich Amber Bronzer, the Stila Heaven's Hue Highlighter in Kitten, and the Pat McGrath Labs Blush in Paradise Venus. And then on my lips, I have one of the YSL, like these are like almost their lip balms. And what color is this? I don't know, but it's a red shade. I can't read it. I'm sorry. So I've already primed my eyes. I had somewhere else to go today, so I was like, well, y'all get to see me with my face on. Sometimes I do that. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking a big brush. This is the Lunar Beauty LB1, and we're going into the shade Reality, which is that matte white, because I want to set down my primer. I did prime with the NARS Budge Proof, Smudge Proof, I don't remember what it's called, in Light. It's almost empty, so I am excited. So I'm just blending that out. So I'm wearing my Evil by Design, my Cruella shirt. So I was like, let's do something kind of Cruella, you know? That makes sense to me. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take, well, actually it's not the first thing I'm gonna do because I've already done something. I'm gonna go into that shade Natural, which is that brown kind of shade. And this is just a melt brush. Doesn't really tell me what the brush is. And I am adding that to my crease. And I'm gonna take that same Lunar Beauty that I had the white shade on, and I'm going to blend that out. Because as you can see, that makes it look more like a bronzer shade almost in the crease. It's a good color. So you can do a neutral look with this palette too, if you want to. I'm just not much of a neutral look kind of girl. So see how that's now all nice and blended out? Okay, so now I'm gonna go into the BK Beauty 202 and we're gonna go into that shade Infinite, which was like that burgundy red shade. And I'm going to concentrate that in the outer crease. I'm not bringing it up too high. I'm not bringing it down too low. As you can see, I'm just concentrating that in the crease. Making sure it's blended, but I'm not bringing it in super far either. Okay. See how pretty that looks? That blends out really well. And this is one of those colors that really didn't swatch that well. But the BK Beauty 202 brush is one of my favorites for getting into this, like when you have more of a hooded eye and keeping it there. See? It really, because of the shape, I feel like this shape is super unique. That's where this brush stands out. This is one of my favorites, other than like the foundation brush, but this is just one of my favorite brushes from BK Beauty. Okay, so what we look like. So I'm gonna take that same LB1 Lunar Beauty brush and I'm just going over the edges. I always like to go back and make sure everything is really blended. It works well for me. Okay, so now I need something tiny to add some more color to the crease. So I'm gonna grab, this is the Wayne Goss number 20, and I'm gonna go into the shade Implode, which is that deepest like purple kind of shade, and see how that just adds a little bit more depth. And I'm just going to keep that low because I'm wanting it to kind of be reminiscent of like almost that red and black from Cruella, but without it being red and black, because this doesn't have like a true red in it. Okay, go back in with the 202. See how much depth that added? And one thing about it is when you're starting to get older, if you do this kind of eye shape like this, it really does work to kind of help, you know, where you don't have too much darkness on the inner part of your eye, if that makes sense. Okay, so I put some of the glitter glue on my eye. Now I'm going to this is the Sigma E55, and I'm going to pat out that glitter glue with that brush. There we go. Okay. All the way across the lid. Okay, now I'm gonna go first into that shade Deep Space, which is like that burgundy shimmer almost. And we're gonna pat that on the outer V, that outer half of the eye. Isn't that pretty? Okay. On both sides to make it match. You can kind of really see more of what I would talk about with the new camera setup about the wrinkliness of my eyelids. But you know, it is what it is. I'm no spring chicken, and you know, if I can wear makeup like this, so can you. So I just wiped that off, and now I'm gonna go into the shade Quantum. I will never say that correctly. And we're gonna apply that to the front portion of the eye. So we still have some brightness. See how pretty that looks? I almost should have worn like a burgundy lipstick with this, but it's okay. What do you think? That looks really pretty. Okay. And we're gonna do that on both eyes. And really make sure everything's blended together. Okay. Go back in with our 202. That's what it looks like. So now I'm gonna go off camera, do mascara and lashes and liner, and then we'll come back and do the lower lash line. I'm back and I have the rest, well, I already had my face on, but I added lashes and I used some black eyeliner. So one thing I wanna go ahead and do is I want to grab a small little angled brush. So this is from BK Beauty, it's a 208. I'm gonna go into that shade Dark Matter, which is the black, and I'm going to apply just the slightest little bit of that to the front portion where my lashes aren't, and that helps blend everything together. See, it makes your lashes look much, much more natural. There we go. Okay. We like how that looks. So I'm gonna take, this is a BK Beauty 203. I am going to go into that shade Dark Matter, and we're gonna smoke out the lower lash line. Oh, that looks good. I always love a good dark smoky eye. I mean, I just can't not. So we're gonna go back into that Wayne Goss number 20 with the shade Implode, and we're adding that in as well. See how that adds a little bit more color to the bottom? And I am lightly dipping into it so it doesn't go everywhere. I mean, I already have pretty, you know. Now I'm gonna go into, this is the Lunar Beauty LV1, and I'm just going to go under and really make sure everything's blended and clean. Okie dokie. What do you think so far? I think it looks good. Okay, let's apply some lower lash line mascara. This is just the Chantecaille. I'm trying to use it up. I'm getting on its last leg because it's starting to get dry. And we need an inner corner highlight. So I'm gonna go into the shade Psyche. And I'm putting this on a Refer number 23, which is like the tiniest little pencil brush, I think, known to man. And I'm just taking Psyche and applying, just see how I'm just taking the littlest little bit. There we go. So this is finished look number 2. What do you think? We're back to do another look with the Perception palette. So I think I want to do something purple today. I haven't done a purple look in a while. So I'm gonna use the shade Curious. Ooh, let me bring it where you can see it, which is that lavender shade. So I'm gonna take Curious, and then this is a Spectrum A28 brush, and we're going to apply that in our crease. There we go. Not too high, not too low, just enough to add some color. That is a beautiful lavender. I love lavender. I like purple more than I like, I don't know. I forget how much I like purple, if that makes sense, when I don't use it all the time. But it is like a flattering color on my skin tone. I just forget to use it. And I don't know why I forget to use it, but I do. So I'm gonna grab, this is a B10 from Spectrum. So this is more of a blendy brush, and it's small. And I'm going to really kind of blend that outward and upward, but I'm still not bringing it all the way in to like the inner corner. So there we go. Just applying that shade. That is such a pretty purple, like lavender. I really like that color. If I don't have a lot of energy today, I'm sorry. Been dealing with so much crud, you know, the life of being a mom, business owner, everything, you know, always a lot. This is just a clean brush, by the way. This is just a clean color pop brush to kind of go over all the edges to make sure it's blended and smooth. So I like that, but I'm going to go back into the Spectrum A28, which is that dense brush, and I'm going to add a little bit more of that lavender, but pack it so it's not as blended out, if that makes sense. Okay, I like that. So now I'm going to grab, this is a Noblet N205, and I'm going to go into the shade up here, which is that deep purple called Implode. And we're going to apply that just in the outer corner, blending it slightly outwards and upwards, but not much. I don't want this to be a super dark look. I want it to be more about the lavender shade because I like that lavender. And I've used the Implode shade. I don't know if I'll use all the shades in this palette when I'm done, but you know, if I don't, I don't. So far, they're performing really well. So just slightly building it up. And that's what I like too. These colors, they have pigment and payoff, but they're not so much at once where it feels like, you know, they're hard to work with. Because sometimes, you know what I mean, whenever there's too much pigment at one time, it can be a lot. So I'm gonna grab, this is my Too Faced glitter glue. Almost empty. Woohoo! Another one bites the dust. Another product almost finished. So I'm gonna wipe off this brush. This is the Sigma E55. I used that with yesterday's look. So I'm gonna pat out my glitter glue. There we go. And on the other side, and I'm going to go into the shade Entity right here, which is this lavender silver shade, and we're going to apply that all over the lid. That's a pretty color. I like that color a whole lot. And as you can see, it's applying really nicely to the eyelid. I like that color. Okay. I really love that. I think it looks so pretty on the lid. There we go. What do you think? I think it looks super pretty. So now I'm gonna grab that, got hair everywhere. This is the Noblet N207 again, or N205, and I'm gonna go back into Implode and add just a little bit more darkness and make sure my edges are blended. There we go. And see, it doesn't take much finagling. I like this look a whole lot. And then I'm gonna go back into Curious and go over just a little bit. Make sure it's blended, which is, there we go. Okay, so this is the top of the eyes done. I'm gonna go off camera, do the rest of my face, come back, and we'll do the lower lash line and talk about my thoughts on the palette. I'm back and I have the rest of my face on. I used my Cover FX Monochromatic Bronzer Duo. This is in Sunkissed Bronze. I used the Nymphette Blush by Pat McGrath Labs, and then for highlight, which is probably the most exciting thing I used, See how pretty that is? Is the Kristen Lee Cosmetics. This is the Shenanigans highlighter. Now you do have to be careful when applying this because I'll show you, like it is super duper flaky, but if you apply it correctly and blend it out, I mean, it's just so pretty. It's a multi-chrome like flaky highlighter. And I love the way effect it did on my face. And then for lips, I use the Kaleidos Lip Clay in Dune. And for my waterline, I used, what is this? Gobi. So I'm going to take and do my lower lash line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, this is the 205 brush by BK Beauty, and I'm going to go in the shade Quasar, which is that orange, like tangerine shade. And we're going to use that under the eyes because I wanted something a little different because the top is so monochromatic. I was like, let's do something a little more fun under the eyes. At least that's what I was thinking. So just going to apply Quasar under the eyes. See how that kind of gives it just something a little bit different. And sometimes that's all I want is I'm going to take this ColourPop brush and I'm going to dip the edge into Quasar so I can really blend it out. But yeah, sometimes that's all I want is I want something that's a tad bit different. I don't want to have the same look that everybody else has when I'm using palette. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of the fun of it. And so I'm gonna grab, this is the Spectrum A23. It's a little teeny brush. And I'm going to go into Dark Matter, which is the black. And I'm going to take and use that to add just a little bit of black. See how that blends the eyelashes in? Because these are the same lashes I use all the time, but the band is getting crusty. So whenever it starts to get crusty like this, I definitely feel like I need to blend it better because that helps where the lashes don't look like they're just stuck on my lip. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by crusty is like after about 5 or 6 uses, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on what eyeshadow it's going over, the band starts, you can kind of see how it kind of gets some thickness from the glue being applied. And if I don't clean them off properly, you know, which I don't all the time. There we go. But they look pretty, don't they? I like these lashes. These are my favorites. These are the Eylure Accent number 5s. These are my go-to lash. So let's go ahead and apply a little bit of lower lash line mascara. And looks like this. I love this highlight. I think it looks so, so pretty. So now we need to do an inner corner highlight. So I'm gonna go into right here, Psyche. I used this yesterday too. And apply that. It's like sparkle tears. I want to cry glitter. I don't know how y'all are, but I would love to cry glitter. Like if I have to cry, why not make it pretty tears? So that is the final look. So I use, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 out of the 20 shades on these 3 looks. And I think the palette performs beautifully. I love, love, love the color story behind this. I wish there were a little bit more shiny shades, but other than that, I mean, I think the palette is great, great quality and I'm happy to own it. So, and for the price of it, it's really good. They ship fast. I mean, I just can't complain. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right down below. And if you hit the notification bell icon next to it, that will notify you when I post new videos, which is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Saturdays at 2 p.m. I do a live Make it play date. But I guess that's it. We'll see y'all later. Bye.